Welcome back. In our previous discussion, we explored vibe coding and built a math tutor agent using RuCode and Gemini 2.5 Pro. Today, we're diving deeper into building PydanticAI agents using Cursor, one of the pioneers in the AI code generation space. So, what makes Cursor unique? Cursor's agent mode can complete tasks end-to-end. This is similar to other tools' agent modes, but Cursor has one of the more advanced agent modes where files can be generated, scripts and terminal commands can be executed in a very seamless developer workflow that you can notice when you use the tool. So I would say of all the tools in the landscape, Cursor is one of the more advanced tools to use for agentic workflows. It does it very quickly and it keeps you in the loop. So it's very unique when Cursor executes a couple of the steps, then takes a pause and asks for your feedback, and once you provide feedback, it continues. You can enable this by selecting agent in the composer. Another unique feature is its ability to add documentation and web search as a context. When you work with newer frameworks like PydanticAI, this is super important, and you can add the PydanticAI main site along with the PydanticAI GitHub pages so that the agents have access to the latest APIs and modules. And you do that by adding a web document root, and I'll show you that in the demo. In this tutorial, we'll demonstrate how to use Cursor features effectively, looking at best practices and how to avoid common pitfalls such as generating unusable code or introducing technical debt such as bloated methods or code duplication. This is one of the issues with many code generation tools, and hopefully by following this tutorial, you'll learn how to avoid these mistakes. By providing Cursor with rules and tasks, detailed instructions, and relevant context, along with clear constraints, you can enhance the quality of the generated assets significantly. Cursor's AI capabilities work best when given proper guidance. Just like any other AI tool, the output quality directly correlates to the input quality. So the more time you put into providing a context, writing descriptive rules files and tasks files, and perhaps most importantly, writing a descriptive prompt, the better the outcomes from Cursor. Let's talk about Cursor. When you go to cursor.com, you'll see that it's a very clean layout. The pricing, the features, the enterprise, and the blog, everything is laid out in a very, very clean way. Here is a quick example of how to use the tabbing feature, which is the autocomplete. Autocomplete is available to most coding tools, but we're more interested in Cursor's agentic code generation capabilities. So here is an example where Cursor actually understands your current code base and develops code along with your current code base. So one way to use Cursor in agentic mode is to start with a blank workspace so it can generate all the assets from scratch. But another way people use Cursor is for an existing code base. So it understands the code base, it indexes it, and it helps you refactor existing code. As I'll show you in the demo later on, we generate an agent. I'm not quite happy with the tools, and then we refactor the agent, and the results are spectacular. You can edit in natural language. You can build software faster. If you go into the features tab, Cursor's agent mode, I already briefly mentioned to you about this, can complete tasks end to end. It does this quickly while keeping you in the loop. And you can try this by selecting agent in the composer. What you see on the screen here is the composer. And when you launch Cursor, which by the way comes in its own editor, you actually have to download Cursor as an independent IDE, but it is Visual Studio Code based. So it supports all of the extensions that work for Visual Studio. It's just that if you use Visual Studio and Cursor, you'll have to go back and forth between two different environments. One of the features is that it is able to find context easily. So you can select any code piece and it's added to the context automatically. Open files are added to the context automatically. You can run commands and you can actually get feedback on errors when things are not working. And the terminal is also part of the feedback loop. So if something is not working, you right click, pick the error and send it to Cursor. Cursor will help you debug the issue. Cursor is generally very easy to get started with. Download the tool. So here you see that I've already have it launched, and on the right hand side I have my prompt, and in the left I have the script running for a medical advisor agent. We'll run this example end to end. I'll show you how to get started. In the middle is the code editor, and that's where your agent file will be. And on the right hand side is the chat window as well as the history. One thing you'll notice here is that on the right hand side I have a pretty long prompt that I've prepared to generate this code. You will also notice that I've used it in agent mode and in auto by adding two sources, the PydanticAI website and the PydanticAI GitHub repo. So those two sources were added, and then I've instructed through my prompt to use OpenAI's models as well as certain classes that I like. So here's how you add context. You can just click on that add button, and from there you can add documents or web routes or files in your workspace. It supports a wide range of sources that can be added as context. In this case, you see code, documents, Git, past chats, cursor rules, terminals, linter errors, web, and recent changes. So all of these can be added as extra context, making cursor one of the widest reach as far as additional context. So here, if you need to add a new doc, you can just click the web, or you can click the docs and add something that is already there added for you. So in my case, I've already added Next.js, PydanticAI, and PydanticAI GitHub. So they're already in my docs section. I don't have to go ahead and re-add. But if you can't find your docs, just go ahead and add the web, the URL, give it a name, and then it will become a reusable context inside the docs section. Let's keep moving. If there is a doc that you need to add, you just click add new doc, and here it will ask you for the URL. You can paste the URL, you can give it a name, and after that it will become available in the context. Super easy. The Cursor team has made the UI very developer friendly, and onboarding to the tool took me less than a half an hour to understand really what's going on. The other thing that you'll notice is that it has three different modes. There's an agent, ask, in manual mode. And by the way, this has changed recently. You may see a different set of options here. Agent mode is the one that we use mostly when you start from a blank project. Agent mode is also one of the more expensive modes, so just be aware that it will end up eating some of your premium credits. If you're on the trial plan or if you're paying for it, depending on your plan, the agent mode tends to consume more premium prompts than other prompts. So just be aware of that. So you can pick your agent prompt, and from the model, then you have options to pick the model of your choice. You can pick Claude 3.5, 3.7, or any other model. One thing that I would recommend is to switch off the auto select and just pick your own model. That way you can limit the cost exposure, because some of the max models charge extra. And then you can also enable the thinking box there. So I would enable the thinking toggle because it does make a difference. Once all of that is ready, you just kind of paste your prompt and then it generates the file. So then you can go ahead and look at this file and then run it in the integrated terminal. So Cursor is based on Visual Studio Code. It does come with its own integrated terminal. So all the features of Visual Studio Code and the extensions, they typically work for Cursor as well. So really quick introduction into Cursor. Quite a bit of Cursor related tutorials on YouTube. You can just grab one of them and see how to use various features. This will be a quick demo. So let's just get started. We'll see a bit of a discussion here as well as what the resulting structure will be. So why don't we do something completely brand new? So I'm just going to go grab this, create a new prompt. Do you guys have any ideas for an agent? So in this example, we have a discussion with a group of members, and the question was, can we create a new agent using one of the prompts? So what I did was I copied the existing math tutor prompt, and now we're going to modify this prompt, and I was just asking if they had any ideas for an agent to build, because basically the prompt is reusable, and depending on your needs, you can build any agent by modifying a few lines, as you'll see here. But in effect, we'll start from a blank project. We're just going to start with this prompt and see what mileage we'll make with PydanticAI. So we settled on a medical advisor for holistic health. That's our agent. So we want to chat with an agent that is an expert in medical advice for holistic health, and that's what we modified. Line 1, we just created the purpose, and now we're going to change the response type. It is a little bit more consistent with the purpose of this agent. Health. The agent should use OpenAI. Create an instance. So instead of 4 math operations as tools, let's not use tools at this point. Let's not ask it to use any tools, because this should just create a system prompt. And let's just do a quick.
Also, the math response class you want to remove.
We should just call this health question response, including all relevant fields. I'm not even telling it what fields to include. It should come up by itself. Let's again look for math. There's no math. Okay, so now I think we have a bit of a structure. Let's go to Cursor for this. I'm going to open a folder. I'm going to create a new one and call it medical agent. Open. So this one should have nothing right now. So it's a blank project. I will just go ahead and add the context now. So from docs, it remembers my docs from other projects. So I'm just going to do PydanticAI and PydanticAI GitHub.
Nice.
I don't need to add anything else. I'm thinking if I should add these other rules. Let's go without the rules and see how far we go. And then I'm in agent mode, and here, this auto, you can change this. Now, if you pick auto, it will pick one of the models here. If it picks the max, you will get charged extras. You can also not pick auto select and just go and pick your own model. I will go ahead and pick Claude 3.7 Sonnet just so we don't go over it. So it's in agent mode and it's Claude 3.7. Let's go ahead and enable thinking. And this is the whole prompt. Let's go ahead and paste this whole thing. I've added the context. I have no files right now. It's just in a single folder called medical agent. And by the way, these folders also matter. So name them something that is potentially appropriate for the project itself. So it knows that we're building a medical agent now. I'm just going to go ahead and send this, and let's see how long it takes and what it's going to do. So as you can see, it's reading from the documentation. So it's already referring to some of these docs. And so let's see what it comes up with. Specifically asked to use a single file, use pip. I don't want poetry because poetry just gets the project complicated. It creates a bunch of folders. I want this a single agent file, just something quick with pip. And pip is ideal for these kind of little agent trials. So let's see where we go with this. We start writing it. I don't expect this to work, but the question is how many screw-ups we're going to get and how much it's going to take us to fix these.
Yeah, no, that's why I was creating a new one. I want to see the process of debugging also.
Exactly.
Like, do you debug it yourself or do you take the error messages and feedback?
I debug it myself because I'm cheap. If I start sending it to Cursor, I'll go through my premium credits very quickly. So we have something. It even created a tool, which I don't know if we need to.
Also, the debugging, pasting the error back, what I've seen, if in 3 times the model is not able to fix, it's just my experience. You should not waste your time. It's not that good.
Yeah, the part I also have an issue with, when you paste it and it comes back and says, make these changes, now you're wondering, is it going to make it worse? And now, was I better off?
Yeah.
Not accepting the changes, yeah.
We have a bit of a problem here. But this is an okay class. I know this for a fact.
Yep.
And the reason I know this is because that's where I have most of my problems, and I go and know them now by heart. So right here, when you go to OpenAI provider is OpenAI, it's the same thing. And so I may even have provided it somewhere here. I said just use these two because I know where they're going to stumble. So it used it and somehow it's kind of complaining. So I'm just going to ignore it for now. So the health question response is general advice, lifestyle changes, nutrition suggestions, pretty good. Exercise, risk level, disclaimer. And then the model is solid. The agent is solid. This system prompt is not good. I don't like this. But let's see what else happens here. As you can see, it actually adds more prompts here, provides guidelines for the agent's response, and then there is a tool. Let's just quickly try to run this. So nutrition info, inflammation, sleep, energy. There's some good stuff here. There's another tool, get exercise recommendations. This is interesting. I wouldn't have thought adding these as tools, but okay, why not? There's a bunch of tools here. And then there is the synchronous main method with emojis. Now this is not going to run because I don't have the .env file. So I'm going to make that. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so I have this .env now, and the .env example tells me what I am supposed to do. And by the way, we're supposed to accept all of these. This is incorrect, but okay, we can fix that later. This should be 0046, so it's kind of meaningless, but it's okay. And we have the file here. So let's go ahead and run this. I am just going to attempt to see whether it works. Python medical advisor and something PydanticAI.providers.
You're not in the environment.
Yeah, I told you this is not good. So I'm just going to change all of these guys to nothing. I think what happened was that in my environment I had an earlier version and it just skipped it.
Yeah, you should have hit upgrade or something. Well, it's actually running without debugging.
It's running. We even have emojis. So any health question, how can I fix my sleep? So let's just get some information here. Health advice. Improving your sleep can involve combination of lifestyle changes. So these are all coming from the tools, by the way. The lifestyle changes, the nutrition suggestions, exercise recommendations, risk level, and then the disclaimer. This is amazing, actually. I wouldn't have built it like this. I still think it's a little overdone, but we can refactor this, which if you'd like, we can do. Actually, we can select all the code, and that's something I would use Cursor for. I would select the entire code and say, this is too complex. Can you simplify this? Get rid of these tools, but improve the system prompt. Instead of each of these tools, I actually don't like that structure. I have a weight problem. Maintaining a healthy weight involves combination of balanced nutrition, regular blah, lifestyle changes, nutrition. And keep in mind, I'm using the cheapest model. This is GPT-4o mini. And a lot of the examples here, when you improve the model, when you actually change to a more capable model, these suggestions also take a different shape. I think you're seeing the picture. I'm going to quit this, and in the few minutes that we have, I want to experiment with this real quick. So we're still in Cursor. I want to take this. So what I'd like to say now is that I want to replace the logic in the tools with a more comprehensive system prompt. Remove all tools and replace the language into a system prompt. Let's see if this works. Because that's another thing, right? In software engineering, you come up with something and then you don't like it and you want to change it. So I want to see whether it's even possible for us to do this.
Just quickly, I noticed that in Cursor, you did not refer to the file you want changed. That's because you only have one file open.
It's already in the context. Selecting things also add them to the context. So this was selected also. Did you notice that I had selected the text? Here, we can see what it's doing. I will just accept file. And let's see what happened here. So what happened is there is the response model is the same. Look at our system prompt now. Look at this beautiful system prompt. No more tools. All the tools are gone. This is amazing. And it replaced all these tools, languages into the system prompt. So now it should still run. I want to run it now. Let's go ahead and do that. Clear. Okay, still running. What should I do to quit smoking? And boom, it's still working and it's still pretty amazing.
Yeah, very cool.
It's very cool. Add those rules that you have defined and see if it...
Yeah, actually, it did it even without the tools here in this case. But this one doesn't have the tools here. I didn't add them. And the reason I didn't is because I thought that having the PydanticAI and PydanticAI GitHub will probably be sufficient. And my prompt here is so descriptive, prescriptive, restrictive. Remember those three things for your prompt engineering. I'm going to be doing a course on prompt engineering, like a masterclass for both agents and tools. And we're going to go a lot about these things, but prompt engineering to me is just now such a gold mine, such an underutilized area where you can improve things significantly. So as you can see, when I first started with this little line or a single paragraph, it was just crap that was coming out. And now with this prescriptive nature and line by line breaking down the task, it's doing such a great job that it doesn't even need all these other longer rules. You can get away without them with these context files here.
Sounds good.
Okay, so that was a little demo, and it was part of one of our community meetings where we just did a vibe coding from scratch. So basically, when we meet with the community, we come up with an idea and we're just gonna execute it on the fly, and that was one little agent. We plan on adding more of these vibe coding sessions where we're now going to execute more complex workflow multi-agent systems, including RAG. We've already built a vibe coding RAG solution with PydanticAI, whereby we go and parse the Tesla Model 3 user manual, including UI. So we built a complete UI with the RAG system, and that tutorial will be coming up soon. I also wanted to show you the vibe coding prompt here that we used. This will be included in the video description as well. So you can grab this and customize this any way you like. For vibe coding to work properly, one of the most important things is the prompt. As you saw in the example that I showed, with a good prompt, you don't actually even need rule files or tasks files, because the prompt alone, with the added context that the PydanticAI root website and the GitHub website, was sufficient for the tool to go ahead and create this agent that worked the first time. Highly unusual, by the way. Once you start building a little bit more complex systems with multiple files or configuration files or server systems with APIs, be it Fast API or Node.js systems, things do not tend to work the first time you do them. Or over time, when you get really handy with these prompts and rule files, then your systems start learning how to do it. But just expect that your mileage may vary, especially depending on the complexity of your agent. This is a very simple agent. It doesn't use any external API tools. It doesn't use memory. There's just a single agent, and there's no external systems where usually the problems happen. So for a single agent, this is an okay prompt, but for more complex systems, just expect that this prompt may balloon in size, double, triple, quadruple, and that's quite normal. And by the time you write that long prompt, if there are sections in your prompt that are system specific, that are reusable for every project, then I would move those sections into the .mdc file. So that's my rule of thumb. If a prompt starts growing in size and there's reusable chunks that I use in every agent interaction for PydanticAI, then it's time to move them into the common shared MDC file. But if they're very agent specific for this use case, then I would keep them in this prompt. Good. Let's move on. Great prompts have at least 3 features. They're descriptive, prescriptive, and restrictive. Add as much detail as you can. Be prescriptive. Add them step by step in a temporal order. Usually vibe coding tools take them from top to bottom, so that's the order they follow. And be as restrictive, or put guardrails so that the tools know what APIs or endpoints you'd like to use and what tools not to use. I also want to share an MDC rules generator. For any vibe coding session, you can start from scratch and add these MDC files and keep them as simple as a couple of lines. You can just tell it basically, I want to use Next.js as my full stack solution, and that's what the vibe coding session will be. It will be based on Next.js. So single line is still an MDC file, or you can make them as complex as your needs evolve. But this is a good starting point. So I'd like to demonstrate to you how to grab these files from this repo. It's Sanjit 5/awesome cursor rules MDC, so that you have at least one tool that you can generate these tools when you need to. So go ahead and go to GitHub and explore the repo, click on the rules MDC folder, and here you'll see multiple files. So your stack may already be included right off the bat. So you see files here for Apollo, GraphQL, MDC files for Astro, Auth0, AWS, Amplify, and many other tools, including Ansible. For example, if you're building CI/CD pipelines with automation, Ansible may be one of the tools. And if you're generating Ansible rules along with AWS, those are the 2 rule sets that you may want to include in your next cursor project. So really rich rich library with predefined rules for a majority of the systems or stacks. Unsurprisingly, PydanticAI is not included in the GitHub repo, so I'll show you a way how to generate your own custom rules if they're not included. So this file here, what we're looking at is the standard pydantic.mdc. This is good for generating Pydantic models, so I would definitely include this in my workspace, but it's not the same as PydanticAI. Go ahead and copy the URL. I would copy this HTTPS URL, then open a terminal, either iTerm or the integrated terminal inside Visual Studio Code or Cursor. What you would like to do is git clone and the repo. The reason we want to do this is because we're going to modify a couple of files and regenerate these rule files. So we need the sources for that. It's a Python project, so it's very easy to run, as you'll see in this demonstration. So just a simple ls will list the files in this repository. It comes with .env.example. .env is not included, but you will want to make your own .env file with a single key for the OpenAI key, because it does use the OpenAI models to generate these rule files. So once inside that folder, open Visual Studio Code or Cursor and examine the rule files. The first thing that you'll see is the rules.json. You can open that from the root folder and examine what's included, or you may choose to close that and just look around the project. Cursor rules CLI is not that critical. Rules-mdc is where all the rules files are stored, so that's an important folder. The deprecated folder, don't worry about it, and the source folder, don't worry about it. The next important file is the rules.json. That's where you're going to edit and add the new stack that you need generated. Basically, if it's PydanticAI, add it to the rules.json. If it's some other stack, maybe even proprietary stack, then add it there and provide the keywords that the tool will need to use to generate that stack. And the last but not least is the .env. Do not forget the .env file. Without the key, it's not going to work. So let's open the rules.json file here. Look for Pydantic, and let's find the Pydantic block. And once we find the Pydantic block, basically we're just going to copy and paste this. So copy Pydantic, rename it to PydanticAI, and change the tags. Instead of development, Python, data visualization, and type checking, we'll change it to AI, LLM, framework, agent, and so on and so forth. So you're free to use as many tags as you want. Those tags are passed to the LLM for the generation of the MDC file. So we just paste a new block here, PydanticAI, with the tags AI, agent, LLM, Python, and framework. Feel free to add your own tags if you want more tags, but I find 5 tags to be sufficient based on the general structure of this file. Once you have this, save this file. So this rules.json file should be saved with the new entry. So we just added one entry for the PydanticAI. And once you save this, we're going to open a integrated terminal, or just go to your iTerm, and we're going to run the generation. And the way to run this is using UV. So we're going to run UV space run space src / generate mdc files.py. So that's the script, how we run it. And if everything goes well, which it should, I found this tool to be super easy to use. You should get the success message which says MDC generation completed successfully. Once you get this message, you can close the terminal and you can go ahead and inspect the rules.mc folder. Inside this folder, look for the pydantic-ai.mdc file. That's the new one that we just added, and sure enough, you see that it's in green because it's not checked into GitHub yet. Double click on this file and open it in the file editor. We're just going to go ahead and examine what it created for us. Now, keep in mind, this file was generated by AI. Just like the vibe coding tools do not know much about PydanticAI, so does the OpenAI model that was used to generate this file. Don't expect too much relevant current information about PydanticAI to be included in this rules file. That's not my expectation. My expectation is to have a basis off of which I can go and basically start painting this canvas, because I will need to add some custom information, and I will add that custom information, but at least I have relevant sections, title, applicability, so on and so forth. So at least some sections will apply to my case. Let's just go ahead and examine this. We have a folder structure which is okay-ish. I may want to change that later. It doesn't necessarily fit the PydanticAI folder structure the way I like it, but for now it's fine because I create single agent files. And then the file naming convention is okay. Module organization is fine. The more important section is 1.4, component architecture, which is line 77, and the ensuing 4 items there: agents, models, tools, and dependencies. These are the critical aspects of any PydanticAI file. You need to understand how to define agents, models, tools, and dependencies. And what we see is that it's very sparse on detail. Unsurprisingly, we don't have a lot of detail. So what I intend is to beef up this section 1.4 by adding more guardrails, more section items here, so that my rules files, next time I go ahead and want to generate a PydanticAI agent file, knows what to do and how to generate. Lines 79 through 83 are okay as a starting point. They're very weak. So what we need to do is grab the reusable parts from my prompt and see what applies to every agent file that I create. For instance, every time I create an agent, I use the OpenAI models. I pass the model name, and usually I use a typed response. So the result type is always a Pydantic class. So I don't like working with strings. I like working with structured response types. So I want to add all this information. So as you can see, I just pasted it from my prompt, and I'm going to put it in the markdown format now by adding a dash in front of these items. Take a look at line 83. The agent must use OS and .env packages. Really cool, because I use that for every agent. Then line 85, first create the model instance. This is how prescriptive I am with these agents. I tell them step by step what to do, and then provide examples. On line 87, I give it an example how to create the agent. Provide 1 or 2 or even 3 examples of what you're looking for. Create an instance of the agent. Keep in mind that whatever you put here, and especially if you're strict about a rules usage, that's how it's going to get generated. So if you forget that you added a particular rule and the vibe coding cursor keeps generating it using OpenAI, but in fact, in the future, you want to use a different model, the reason will be that you have a rule that tells cursor to always create them using OpenAI model. So you should come and change the model. Otherwise, you'll have to go and manually refactor it. After the files are created, you can just go and refactor it, as I showed you, by asking cursor to use a different model, but that's more cost and time. So it's best to get it done inside this rule files. Line 91, giving more context and insights. If the tool doesn't need the runtime context, use @agent.tool plain. If it needs the context, then use @agent.tool, but do pass runtime context as the very first parameter. Otherwise, it's broken, it doesn't compile. So it's important to tell cursor with these rules how to create these agent files. Really cool. Line 93 then is create a system prompt. This is one of the key aspects that is descriptive, and it uses the response type. Really good. Line 95 is connect the tools and the system prompt to the agent properly so that it uses the same agent name, especially if you have multiple agents. Line 97 includes a test method inside the single script, because that's how I construct my scripts. But if I'm building an agent as an API endpoint, for example, I do not need a test run method inside the agent. You can skip that or delete it, or just exclude it from the rule set if you're creating agents that are consumed as an API endpoints or are being integrated into something like N8N or Flowise. Line 101 is use the latest version of PydanticAI. This is super important because you want to set the versioning system right. Even with this, it gets confused, as you saw in the demo. The versioning usually is a little tricky. You may need to fix that. Instead of use the latest version, you may also ask it to use a particular version. I could have improved this prompt or this rule to say use version 0.046 of PydanticAI, period. And then I wouldn't have had that issue that I had to fix. But this was done prior to the demo. And then line 105 is use only classes from the references. Do not invent new classes. Do not go to the internet to find other sources. I'm not interested in a blog that may be already outdated or an article that may have context or not. Just use these two, because the golden source to me is ai.pydantic.dev. and github.com/pydantic/pydanticai. Those are the two golden sources. Just stick to those and do not use any other resources. So once you complete this, you save this file, and this becomes your golden rule file that you can include inside your Cursor, inside your VS Code Copilot, or other vibe coding tools. Okay, let's summarize. I hope the demos have given you an idea of what Cursor can do for you. By making Cursor part of your development workflow, you're not just adding a tool, you're gaining a smart coworker that understands the goals and helps you achieve them faster. Cursor offers remarkable benefits. For example, direct workspace access and editing, terminal command execution, natural language code generation, contextual code understanding and refactoring, as we saw in the example, built-in browser automation, support for multiple AI models and APIs. So these are all great features that make Cursor one of the top contenders in the space for vibe coding. You can definitely boost your productivity. You can improve the code quality. You can get stuff done faster, and you can open up space for you to help with other tasks. Especially if you're a solo co-founder or part of a smaller team in a startup environment, using a tool like this will definitely give you a competitive edge compared to larger companies or competitors. Cursor is one of the best tools on the marketplace right now. It has a very competitive free trial with 150 premium prompts. And from my experience, you can build a full stack app with up to 40 premium prompts by using a expensive model like Sonnet 3.5 or 3.7. And you can use the remainder of this 150 credits for building other applications. But definitely you can build a full stack app with the database, email integration, other integrations for less than 50 premium prompts. So really, really good stuff. Once you get on the paid model, you get a plan for $20 a month. You get up to 500 premium credits. So that means for $20 a month, you can basically build 10 full stack apps once you get fluent and once your prompts improve. That's a really, really great productivity gain for the price. And once you go beyond the 500 credits, you can continue pay as you go plan, where you get premium prompt at the price level of 4 or 5 cents per prompt, which it comes down to about $20 for 500 prompts. So the Cursor pricing model is reasonable compared to the gains that you can utilize from a tool like this. If coding highly complex systems is part of your core business, Cursor definitely has a business value with its pricing plans, and they do make sense when you calculate for the gains that you achieve from using vibe coding with this tool. We've come to the end of this video, so thanks for sticking around. We've demonstrated that a structured approach to vibe coding with Cursor can give you a significant edge when implementing agent-based systems. If you find this deep dive helpful, hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what are you building with Cursor? Are you using it to build AI agents, full stack apps, or just something completely different? Until next time, keep building amazing agents with Cursor.